a TOK Presentation by Shayla Rose. To begin, I will introduce the first real-life situation I have chosen. The story of Malala Yousafzai, or rather the documentary I recently watched about what happened to her in her home of Swat Valley, Pakistan. I didn't know at first what this documentary was about, but once it began, I was captured right into it. The brief of her story: Malala was shot by the Taliban in 2012 for going to school. She was not discharged from the hospital until well into January of 2013. Meanwhile, here I am at school every day without a thought or concern. That fact alone hit hard. Also, the idea that it was all because of the religion the Taliban insisted on manipulating to their advantage. After being hospitalized for months, Malala survived the shooting and is now living in the UK, undergoing studies just like she wanted and continuing to fight for girls' rights to education. She has since received a Nobel Peace Prize and also has the Malala Fund. But most of all, she holds no grudge against the Taliban for what they did to her, nearly costing a young girl her life. There are a number of things I immediately know and learn from this real-life situation in a number of ways. The predominant one is emotion. My emotions affect how I relate to this situation, and I understand what happened to Malala was wrong because of the way it makes me sad. In empathy, my heart reaches out to her in support without even knowing her. Although there are limits to what I know about my real-life situation. For example, sense perception, more specifically, Malala's. This is her experience, and in the documentary, the perspective of the Taliban or those who attacked her is not considered. So in fact, it becomes a matter of we don't know what the other side of the story is. We will never know because we don't have the chance to, and that leaves many other factors in doubt. From this real-life situation, I have established several knowledge claims. First is ill use of a religion prevents girls from receiving education. Religion can be manipulated, and education is not always a right. So you see, my first point is drawn from the fact that the Taliban uses religion as an excuse that the women in their home aren't meant to go to school and receive education. They're supposed to take care of the family. From the second, it's drawn off of the first as well, saying that they're manipulating their religion to what they want. And the fact that, finally, not everyone always receives an education when they should. From these knowledge claims, along with watching the documentary and reflecting on it afterwards, I have formed a knowledge question to go along with my TOK presentation. To what extent does religion shape moral belief? This knowledge question is based off of two areas of knowledge, otherwise known as AOKs. First, ethics, and the secondary is religious knowledge systems, and more specifically, the relationship between the two because they are essential knowledges behind the actions and what has been described in the documentary. In other words, manipulating a religion to fit their actions and justify what they are doing to people in villages like Swat Valley in Pakistan. I have chosen two specific ways of knowing to help develop and understand my knowledge question. Reason being the first, and language along with shared knowledge about faith to further develop the ideas. To talk about first, reason. When first considering reason, there is the part to remember it is the power of the mind to think, understand, and form judgments logically. It is primarily instinctive but can be shaped. That is exactly the relation between reason and morals, deciding what is right versus what is wrong. When watching the documentary, Malala stands up for what she believes in and her right to knowledge. Her reasoning is based off the facts that the male children are allowed to attend at school, she should be allowed to attend as well. Through reasoning, I established that morals are part of all people. Every person has a different set of morals, the key word being different. Morals come from what parents and teachers show us in life. In religious texts, codes of conduct are drawn out for people to direct them on the path they should lead in life, thus changing their morals. This draws the conclusion that morals can be affected in general. The very language of a religion can change how people act accordingly. Connotations and denotations play a key role in what the Bible, Quran, etc. say. It is the unique interpretation of all people that lead to different meanings and thoughts on what can be the same sentence. Following reason as a way of knowing, what each person reads in a holy text can be different, and thus the morals shaped from it changed as well. In the documentary, there is even talk of the name Malala itself. The definition of grief-stricken or as brave, according to the father, based off of a story Malala learns as a little girl, and what could also be interpreted by the Taliban leaders as a challenge to their authority. Finally, from the shared knowledge I have discovered through reading a variant of the Quran and having taken part in IB World Religions, to personal knowledge of being baptized, there are the teachings that are given to Catholics, Muslims, Buddhists, etc. from their faith about appropriate ways of acting that establish early on expectations. Being religious is largely a blanket term because it involves so much more than belief in an or multiple gods. A devout practitioner would follow things like the Ten Commandments, and as a result, their actions and morals of what is wrong and right are affected. From the perspective of a researcher in a paper, she refers to the acceptance of a set norms established by people or groups that are influential to the individual. Additionally, when applying this knowledge to the coherence theory, it is applicable. If someone tells you this is written in a text of a God you believe in, then you would accept that as truth. Of course, an alternate view to all of this may be that religions are based off of what we as humans know instinctively as moral or non-moral. I round back to an age-old argument I've heard time and time again of whether morals and a conscience are there from the beginning, something we're born with, or if it's something we as humans must learn. In which case, following the former, it is not something learned or that can be affected. Instead, religion was formed from this. Now it is used as a teaching tool.